Sandbox has come quite a long way since its initial switch over to the Source 2 engine back in 2020. And while it's been over 4 years in development, the version of the Source engine that Facepunch has been using ever since then has been heavily modified to be tailor-made specifically for Sandbox. But aside from massive changes to the engine and game overall, more importantly, many people have wondered exactly how will this game be properly released. Will it be full price, free to play, or even launch into early access? Well, today I'm specifically wanting to talk about why Sandbox early access is not going to be the way everyone expects it to be. Well, at least so far, unless it changes again. Let's start off with the idea of Sandbox early access itself. Majority of folks who would hear of early access nowadays would equate that to how it is on Steam by paying a cheaper price for an early entry fee to play the game that's caught their interest while it gets content updates and patches leading up to its official release, whenever this would be.
You could definitely equate this to how the modern gaming space is nowadays with a $70 price tag.
Majority of early access games are a way for developers to give access to the players that are interested in their games and also to support the developers financially to continue development as it will eventually become a full product. Of course, you, the consumer or gamer, have a choice of wanting to choose to play the game early while supporting the developers on making the game and playing an earlier version of it, or just waiting to pay the full price for when the game properly comes out as a full product to get your money's worth. And an aspect I started thinking to myself specifically with Sandbox was, would Sandbox even properly have an early access phase? And the answer to that is, yeah, they're doing it already, but just not in the way that many folks are thinking it's going to be. And it makes sense since basically the developer preview was created for that reason. This program is a closed alpha of the game made for developers who got access to Sandbox to create games for the platform itself, and also have other developers do the same thing so that there's both enough content to test and fix bugs for, but also when the game eventually would release. Now, I do understand the sentiment that some people would feel as though Sandbox would release with minimal amount of games and content and having Facepunch depend entirely on the community to create the games for them to make the game feel more appealing. Which honestly, that's a lot for a statement, but in a way, it's not 100% wrong. Hear me out, let me explain. For the people who still don't understand Sandbox, it is a user-generated content platform like games related to Roblox or Fortnite. While it may be considered another Roblox or any of these other type of games, majority of these games strictly depend on the content that's made with the community that will make them stay and also keep playing these games on the platform. Now with Facepunch, they have been creating a ton of other smaller games on Sandbox alongside the community, and with many more to come as Sandbox itself gets closer to release. So in a way, yes, Facepunch is kind of depending on the community for that aspect because games like this are made for that reason. They're platforms where developers and gamers create the games that they want to and share and create the communities that they can base around them. Getting back on topic about early access, Sandbox and its developer preview is already doing this. And recently, Gary decided to scrap this method of not only allowing a certain amount of developers and testers into the Sandbox preview to now basically opening the gates up to the public. But there's a catch. Of course there is. The catch is that obviously this is not the full release. And reason being is because, as it mentions, it's still an alpha. Now, don't get me wrong, as a regular average gamer who really loves and wants to support Sandbox as not only a concept and game, but also wants to see where it's going to go, of course, this is going to be a turnoff for some folks because it's been over 4+ years hearing about this game and it still hasn't released yet. I know. That's game development for you. Things do take time. You rush them, then these things also turn out like slop, which we don't want. So with Gary wanting to open the gate solves the issues of low concurrent users and also being able to play the game and getting access to it early. Another aspect I thought of was funding. Facepunch is incredibly known for Gary's mod and its other popular game, Rust, which is number 10 on the top most played Steam games right now. So you'd expect that with games like Rust that still to this day are getting updates and having tons of players play the game and also new players buying the game, Facepunch financially seems to be doing really good, even according to Gary. He talks more about monetization within Sandbox, which I did cover in a previous video, if you want to learn more about that here. But Facepunch is obviously in a good place to a point where they're focusing also on Sandbox. So at least in my head, for Facepunch to launch Sandbox in early access on Steam would feel a bit odd because unless they do so, they'd have a reason for it. And if money is one of those reasons, then this specific part of the video would age like bad milk. Another aspect is it's a game that's dependent on user-generated content. Majority of the content is from the community, and for that to be a selling point for a paid early access game, many folks would laugh in your face with free-to-play Roblox and Fortnite games that they already have access to. So it'd be very interesting to see how that debate would go if that were to be the case. With this current version of early access planned for Sandbox, thankfully it's not a paid one, as this gives basically anyone the chance to not only develop games for the platform, but also to create games for it. And even better with the recent mindset changes between Gary and the Facepunch team working on Sandbox. They're trying to focus on the long term of stability and making sure that there isn't any insane engine breaking bugs for the sake of longevity and also the health of the game itself. Without these specific things, many people would avoid Sandbox like the plague if it broke every month or so. But for a game like Sandbox, it's incredibly vital to making sure the platform, engine, and tools that are provided to you are all exceptionally stable and ready to go for game development, and also just enjoy some games with your friends and make new ones along the way. In terms of when Sandbox will actually open up to the community and also how to get access to it, definitely make sure to subscribe and keep up to date, as I do cover updates on the game and we'll let you guys know when that comes out. And if you want to learn more about Sandbox recently with stability changes, an updated party system, and more, check out this video right here on screen, and thanks for watching.